Assalamu alaikum everyone. I guess almost all of us know by now that there are a lot of people who are protesting for the rights of the black people. They are fighting against racism, they are fighting against oppression of the black people. And that's a noble thing, that's a very good thing. However, sadly, there are millions of Muslims who have been oppressed just because they are Muslims. And there are very few people, or almost nobody in some cases, who are fighting for their rights or against their oppression. So in this video we shall be discussing two such cases. The first case is of a 12-year-old Somalian refugee girl, and she was in England. She died on 27th of June 2019 by drowning in water in the River Irwell in England. She was already a victim of bullying in her school. One of the girls involved in her murder once pushed her in front of a bus. One child even laughed at her when she was drowning in water in that river, and that child even threatened to kill her if she didn't swim. She was even dragged by her hijab, and there were bite marks found on her body. The police officers who were investigating this matter, they did not took this thing seriously. They did not investigate it properly, and they just dismissed this matter and also the concerns of her family. Most likely because they were Somalian, meaning they were black, and they were Muslims. Though those police officers marked her death as just an accident. Even her mother said that the police were not sympathetic and they were harsh in dealing with their case. And because the police didn't investigate this thing properly, there was some sort of protest all around the nation, and because of that an independent investigation was done. Now I feel that it's not just the children or just the police officers who are supposed to be blamed for this thing. It is the entire system and also the attitude of the people who is to be blamed, because these children were not wise enough to understand that this thing is a very big problem, and they learned to be racist from obviously the people around them. If these police officers and these children would not have been racist, then obviously the family would have got the justice by now, or perhaps this incident would not have happened in the first place. So a change in the system and also in the attitude of the people needs to be made. And once if we make that change, we need to make sure that these kind of incidents do not happen in the future. The second case is of Safoora Zargar, a 27-year-old Indian pregnant woman. She just married 19 months ago, and she was an activist and a student at Jamia Millia Islamia University in New Delhi in India. She was arrested by the police in the month of April in this year for just raising her voice against the unfortunate law by the government, the Indian government, the Citizenship Amendment Act and the National Register of Citizens, the NRC. This law excludes only Muslims from getting the citizenship of India, while it welcomes every other religion. The current government tried to suppress voices of anybody who would speak against them. They sent mobs with iron rods inside the universities to beat the students who were protesting. They sent their own people into the rallies to instigate the violence. And the worst is the media, the Indian media. All the media houses are all puppets in the hands of the government. They tried to show the people who were raising their voice as villains. The police officers took Safoora by just saying that they just want to ask some questions to her regarding her involvement in the CAA rally, the anti-CAA rally on the 10th April, and she had been charged after that under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UAPA, and this is also an unfortunate law because of which the accused is almost getting no chances to get bail. It is almost impossible for her to get bail, to get out of that jail. So for a few months now, she's been locked up into Delhi's overcrowded jail, the Tihar jail. And this is happening in the time when India is under a strict lockdown to fight this coronavirus pandemic. And the government's own advisories have said that the pregnant women are very particularly vulnerable to the infection of this COVID-19. Since her arrest, she is only allowed to make just 5 minutes calls to her husband and her lawyer. She has been denied both visits and the letters on the account of this coronavirus COVID-19 restrictions. Now this lady was raising her voice for the right cause, for the equality, but still she is behind the bars. On the other hand, there are leaders like Kapil Mishra who belong to the current government, and they have given many controversial speeches during the time of the protest of the CAA and NRC, and their speeches have resulted in Delhi riots. Numerous people have died because of that, but still this man Kapil Mishra is not behind the bars. He is freely roaming, while this lady, the Safoora, she is behind the bars just for speaking for something that is right. This is happening in the so-called largest democracy of the world, where many leaders, many actors, many activists have raised their voice for America's Black Lives That Matters, but these same people did not even utter a single word on this pregnant lady that belongs to their own nation. Everyone showed up and expressed anger when a pregnant elephant died in Kerala, which is a state in India, but these same people did not even posted a photo or wrote an article for Safoora. Aren't humans less important than animals? I'm not saying that fighting for animals is wrong. In fact, that's also a good thing. But humans should also be cared more than them. How uncivilized society have we become? This thing shows that everybody is afraid of the current government in India. How nobody wants to be in problem by raising their voice against the current government. This thing shows the emptiness, the disunity in the country, and also the hypocrisy of the celebrities. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects and aids difficulties of anybody who is oppressed, regardless of the race, religion or ethnicity. Ameen. Jazakallah khaira.